good time there, so.
Was he ever married?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. Secretary's report, Steve will not be here today. He's doing something to help his son in Mountain Lake. I don't know if we need to have an approval on that, but we should. Okay.
Second.
All in favor? All right, we'll accept the treasurer's report. Helen,
I'm over here.
we'll have a report.
Okay, so for December, our opening balance was $3,317.47. At the meeting, we took in $110. I deposited 91 of it and kept the rest for petty cash. We paid out in expenses $491 as insurance and some gift cards and state fair things. So we had, at the end of December, $2,917.47 in the checking account, and we have about $40 in petty cash right now.
All right, very good, thank you, Helen. TLC toys, Roger?
Yeah. Well, we had a pretty good year, I think. For the paintables, we ended up with 2,554. And the cars, we had 1,945. So we'll be starting over now for next year. But I think it was a pretty good year. I think. Jim Bartell thanks everybody that worked on the stuff and really appreciates the work that we've done.
Are they still getting the donations of wood? Is that like it's always kind of been?
Oh yeah, yeah.
We got plenty of wood.
Well, I ran him out of pine, so he's got to get another Gaylord.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll keep coming. The wood is all free.
Yeah, that's good.
The knots are free.
Troy, would you like to talk about our session of teaching at the Minnesota Tool Library class?
Okay, so last month we had a class at the Minnesota Tool Library. With myself, Mike, Roger, John, Carl, and then who else was there? Warren. Yeah, I got Roger. Warren was there. There we go. So we did an introductory class for the tool library. We all brought in our saws. We made a bunch of Christmas ornaments, and then we had once we got done with the Christmas ornaments, if people were comfortable, we had a Santa ornament. I should have brought it with me. I totally forgot to bring that one with me. But it was about a 3-hour class, and we had some people that were really engaged. Everyone really seemed to enjoy it. We also donated that DeWalt saw that I found to the tool library, so they have an actual good saw there now. Hopefully it's getting some use. I did talk to Linnea, who was the person that ran it, after the class, and they were really happy with it. Everyone had a really good time, and they'd like us to do it again. So I haven't answered back to her yet to do that. I want to talk to everybody, and I haven't had a chance. It'll probably be like March, April, we may do it again. We've got to work out the details. And she was saying that we do what we wanted. We want to do the same kind of class. We want to do more advanced class. My idea would be that since we had, 9 participants, I think? 8 or 9. We may do a split class where if we have new people, we'll do kind of a similar program we had there. If we have people that are attending that attended before, want to do a little more advanced, we can split it up. Whatever, I haven't quite gotten the details on that yet. But if there's interest in that, I do need teachers. I can't do it all by myself. But like I said, I will get some more details on that, and we'll see if we can do that again or not. I'm not 100% sure if we'll be doing that or not. It's just, it seemed to go well. We got one of our class attendees here today, so when I'm doing something right, we can scare them off.
You should have introduced himself.
Tim.
Tim was one of our students at the class here. Mike, you were working with him.
Yep.
And he still can.
He still can.
Thank you, Tim.
So this is a little off topic since I'm up here. I'm just going to mention it real quick. I do have a Hawk saw for sale, if anyone's looking for one. It's a Hawk Ultra. I bought a new 26-inch. This is a 20-inch. There's nothing wrong with it. I use it a lot, but it's in really good shape. So if you're interested, just let me know. Hawks are a little bit different saws if you haven't used one before, so I would suggest if you are interested in it, you talk to me, come up and try it out. I'll show you some of the tricks on how to use that saw. It's a really great saw, especially for front work. And same thing too. I have been repairing saws for people. So if you guys have a saw that needs repair, especially the Walt, Excalibur, Seiko, Pegasus, any of those ones, let me know. I have a ton of parts, and I do have, and I can help you fix them. They're actually really easy and cheap to fix. So if you need some help with that, or if you want some advice on where to get parts or how to fix them, let me know. I'm happy to help you guys. I don't charge much to do it. I actually just have to fixing saws. But yeah, then if you know if anyone has a DeWalt Excalibur, that they don't want or they think is completely beyond repair, let me know. I'll probably buy it. I do fix them up. I try to resell them to our club members. The saws I'm selling, I'm not doing this to make money. As long as I break even on what I pay for parts, I'm cool. All right, and then since it's my job to come up with class ideas for the presentation each month, I wanted to ask you guys a couple. If anyone had any ideas, anything you'd like to see for a presentation. I am working on getting a couple of guest speakers. I haven't quite narrowed that down yet. I'm hoping in the next few months here to possibly have Kathy Wise. Yes, sorry, I get the names mixed up. I reached out to her. I haven't kind of narrowed it down yet. And then I just wanted to do a quick poll for ideas. I think next month we're going to do a tips and tricks session where everyone kind of come in and present some of your own ideas, tricks that you've learned, things you can, ideas you have for. We did tips and tricks before. We come in and share your experiences with Scrollsaw. I'm probably going to go over Scrollsaw repair. I'm thinking for mine on that one. There's some really easy stuff to do. And then I just want to take a quick poll here. Is anyone interested in learning about resawing? What? Any interest for anybody? Yes. Yes. Okay. Resaw. Okay. I do all my own resawing. I've been doing it for about 4 or 5 years. I'm not an expert at it, but I think I'm pretty good at it. I like to think I've learned a lot. I know finding thin wood is hard and it's expensive if you want someone to resaw and mill it down for yourself. You do need a bandsaw, preferably one that can handle resawing, but I can kind of give you an idea of how that works and how to do it. So, all right, so I'll put something together on resawing so there's a little interest there. And everyone, yeah. So if anyone has any ideas of that, hey, I'd really like to see a presentation on Intarsia. I don't do Intarsia, so I had to find someone else to do that. But if you have interest in Intarsia, or if you really want to know, I talk about fixing these saws, and you really want an in-depth presentation on how to fix these saws, it's not that difficult. I can tell you, at least I shouldn't say that, it's not that difficult for me. I like taking things apart. I've always taken things apart and fixed them. That's just kind of how my brain works. But I know that's not for everybody, but if it's something we're interested in, definitely let me know. I can put you guys in the right direction. And like I said, I'll let you know about if we're going to do another class. All right, but other than that, I think I'll make things work. That's correct.
Yeah, Tim did a good job in our class. I thought he caught on right away. Tim, do you have any impressions of what you were left with of the class?
I thought it was great.
It went well.
I thought the class was done well.
We covered pretty much everything.
It went by quickly, actually.
Yeah, I thought everyone picked it up really well.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Old business, I don't know if they have anything. Does anybody have anything we haven't covered for old business? All right.
I just wanted to say, I talked to Mary Geis a couple days ago to see what she had left for stuff. She's kind of on hold now. She's got a son. He's probably going to take that Vegas and some other things. So I think she's kind of on hold until spring. She can get her car in the garage now, and she said one son take a lot of this stuff, and he's going to take some more. So she's just kind of on hold. So don't be calling her about it if anybody's thinking. But sounds like all she's got left is some sanders and some wood. But so anyway, it sounds like she's doing well. And it was good. Her one son's a lawyer. I think he's the one that's going to pick it up and take this stuff.
All right, well, good. New business. I'm trying to get pictures of as many people as I can in the club, current members, and then I've gone through our files and gotten older members that are deceased, and so I've made a number of files here. Also people like Jill Murphy, you know, and like that. So that if we do need pictures, we're gonna have them, and I'd like to distribute these files to the officers and Carl and Katie and whoever else would need them. So if we do have somebody come in and we can't recognize them, at least we'll have a name and a face. All right, so if I do want to take your picture, it's nothing personal. I just want pictures of everybody for the club. All right. Other new business. We've got an election coming up in a couple months, so if anybody's interested in any of the offices, normally it's kind of hard to get people, but give it some thought. If you care to do that, talk to one of the officers, whatever office that you have. It's nice to have a continuance of the treasurer and the secretary, and the longer you can kind of stay in there is great, but if we have to change, we do. All right, well, we're up to show and tell. Warren?
Business about Creekside in general. You know, we went to our leaders meeting back in
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody knows the status of all that. Talk to that or want me to? Just
Go ahead.
Well, okay. So Bloomington had there was a thing in the election last November, and Bloomington voters had to approve whether there was going to be a sales tax added on to Bloomington, I think, and to help do a few things. One of them is to do a new health services building, and that's where we are involved. This building is going to be taken down, and they're going to use this land to build a whole new building. You know, it's going to take a while. The sales tax kicks in, I think, on April 1st.
Yeah.
But it's going to be on for 20 years or something like that, and it's going to fund some things. So anyway, there's a lot of things to be decided yet, and we're going through all the what we call all the data gathering to find out what's necessary, and then they'll have the architects come and give plans and costs for everything. That'll probably take a year and a half or more, who knows. At that point, we're going to lose our building here, and they're working on, because there's so many things. We just take one Saturday morning of the month, but there's so many things that go on here every day during the week mostly, and so all those things are impacted. So they're well aware they want to have some continuation of that stuff when the building's not available, so that they'll find places where all that stuff can happen. And I'm sure they'll be able to figure out something for us because our needs are pretty small compared to everybody else. So anyway, just want to let you know that's what's going on. But maybe in 3-4 years, walking into a brand new building, we'll have more space. And, it'll be great.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. They'll have to plan everything, and places like the shop, you have to move the equipment, put it somewhere while this building is being built, and they'd probably like to have it somewhere where they could use it, because it's probably going to be out of commission here for a couple of years. And then you have the rock shop, the leather shop, they have some tools and equipment, and so we just come and go, so we're not a big problem, but it'll be kind of nice. If you look at this lot, we have a big lot, big parking lot, and then there's an area back there with soccer fields, and I think that's going to be part of this. So there's quite a bit of land here when you really look at it. So I think they'll be able to come up with something. So it's probably going to be probably a year at least before they have a design and the final everything's set. So it's probably good until sometime next year. We'll find out. All right, well, let's have show and tell. We're kind of ahead of ourselves here, but take your time. Anybody want to show us something? You want to go first?
my wife wanted some chickadees to put up on the wall. I had a feeder that gave, let's say, 4 years anyway. She says, she'd like to have some chickadees. So I made this one first. She says, well, I don't like it.
What's the green wood?
Poplar. So I made another one, so she liked that one better.
Put them up next to each other. I would have.
Boy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Much more
She's right.
Well,
I don't know.
the
Oh,
different,
birds
the
stand
different
out.
is the breast on
Right,
it.
you put a different one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the chickadees that we have by our house, by our window, they're not white.
Right.
They're not white, they're like, this, I was hoping it would be, when I put the finish on it, it turned more yellow than it.
What is it?
It's, cotton. I was hoping it would, if it would have stayed that color, it would have been perfect. So I use white pine on this, for the breast and stuff, yeah. But, it was kind of hard to get, if you ever look at the chickadees, they're not really, the breast is not, it's kind of, it's an off-white kind of.
They do stand out more on the trail.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Sometimes their wives are our toughest critics. Well, I wanted to make some of these telephone stands for cell phones. So I got busy one day and I cut it out of the plywood that we've been getting from Jim. Well, as I cut it out, you can maybe see that it started to tear out in the back because I had it on the saw like this with a dado blade coming through at a 90-degree angle here. So I thought, man, that's unacceptable. So I clamped the pieces in there with this backer board behind it that had already been cut. And when I did that, that pretty well eliminated that chip out. So if you ever have to do that, it's sort of a little tip there. But just go with the backer board and you'll be okay, but otherwise it just chewed that all apart.
I got a suggestion for you. Suggestion. Yeah, use a Scrollsaw.
Yeah.
Do you have one of those?
Yeah, I do. But I wanted to make about a dozen of these, see, so I wanted to have it all cut just perfectly so it slide right in.
Scrollsaw with
Yeah, so, well, maybe you're more accurate than I am. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, next victim.
Okay, now you can pick on me.
Somebody has to take a picture of it.
Well, Neil will take a picture.
No, he wants it up his desk.
There you go. You?
Yeah, you gotta dress it up, put some, little stuff out of here.
My wife said it needed names or pictures
There
or
you go.
something.
Didn't you see the ones that Carl made?
Well, you talked about, wives are tough.
Yeah.
So I'm going, okay, I'll get it.
Oh.
I know where you can get the patterns.
Yeah, yours were nice.
So, we passed into a new year, so I had to make the Steve Good pattern. I was complaining they kind of fog up on me all the time. I had just been on New Year's Eve, they fogged up.
We'll leave it on there.
Oh, sure. No, I don't want to.
They'll be there forever.
Yeah,
it's hard to see. I should have painted them up, actually. There's glitter gold paint on here. It looks good up close, but I should have done the lettering in darker colors or something that showed up better.
Are those individual cut stripes?
No, I just painted black on there. So, anyway, I made a couple of pair. One I did silver. That was gold. Then, last time I was, in December, I showed you some clear acrylic or plastic. I found this, John, I think I might have gotten this from you. I didn't know.
Everybody needs any, I got a bunch.
I didn't know I had this red, but
I didn't know I had any red either.
somebody asked me if this comes in colors, and I just doesn't clear. You know, I get it at Menards. I hadn't bought much of it, but you get big sheets of it. And I just happened to see this, and I thought, I'll pick that one out. So this is just our butterfly pattern that we do these out of paper, but it has two bodies on it, so you can fold it up and the wings come up and stuff like that. I took the other extra body out and made a pattern just for that. I'm going to send that around. It's really easy to cut, and I found that it didn't matter what kind of blade I used. It doesn't, you know, you think it's going to melt, and then no problems. I have no problems with that, with either the clear or this stuff. And when you get done, you know, it does have the, not sawdust, but it has plastic dust or whatever. But when you get done and take it out of the pattern off of it, there's a little bit of dust on it. I have a soft paintbrush, you know, I mean a regular 3-inch brush, and I just brush the things off, and that's how it comes out. I mean, it's just easy, and it cuts really slick.
What size blade was it?
Well, I use different kinds. This one was a 5. I think.
Okay.
And it was a Pegasus reverse, you know, modified geometry.
You have to slow the saw down a bit, or no?
I haven't seen any problems with no burning or melting. I mean, you might run into some problems with different kinds of blades, but I haven't seen any of the ones that I've done. So it's just another thing you can do. Came out 10 minutes.
I bet you wouldn't look at that blade number 1 on the test cards.
I don't know. I think I used some 3. I don't know. I didn't specifically go try to find a blade that worked best with it. I just had whatever I had in there. It worked. That's it.
All right.
Mike, you might want to mention how you can become a member. We've got a couple of people visiting us today.
Well, just talk to Helen and pay $20.
Actually, it's 10.
Actually, it's
Right
10
now
right
it's 10.
now.
It's 10.
Well, we probably do 20 and just start the year.
Yeah, and that would include
Next year.
Next year too. Yes, so we'll gladly take your money, and $20 has been pretty much the dues
Since day
for a
one.
long time.
Ever.
Day one, so we're doing well. So, Kellen, didn't you have a show and tell project? No.
Tiffany does.
Tiffany. Great.
This is a speed quick pattern, and I felt like we couldn't really see the letter, so I tried something new. And I probably sanded it down 3 times, and then re-spray painted, but it was for a gift, so it's the best I can do now. So
That's nice.
That's nice.
it included other animals, but I thought it was too loud, so I just included the 4 animals.
What is it? Oak? Looks like oak.
I don't know. I just
Oh.
steal wood from my
Looks like
work.
oak. Looks like oak.
My work has a lot of scrap wood, and they just take it.
Right.
Our favorite one is free wood.
Favorites were free wood.
Free wood.
Anybody else have a project they'd like to show?
Sorry, I'm gonna one question. I'm sick.
All right. Well, unless there's nothing else, then let's take about a 15-minute break because we're kind of ahead, a little short meeting today, so let's visit.
There you go.
But as he's setting this up, I'll skip ahead a little bit. this is some stuff, when I ordered blades for the test, I asked if they had anything we could hand out, so I got that from Olson, send me all those plastic ones. Flying Dutchman sent me the other ones, so just something handy to have.
We're all set on the camera.
Okay.
All right.
We lost the audio.
Can you hear now?
Yes.
Okay.
We're good.
We're still here, Mike.
This thing here is doing that.
What else is out there? Bill Fowler?
You can turn off the closed captions if you wish.
I'm trying to figure that out. I had.
Okay. Down on the bottom, slightly off from center, it's got a show
There we go.
captions.
He knows that. He just is too. How do you know all that?
All right, now can you hear us? Okay.
Yep,
All right, and you can see the presentation.
I can see the presentation.
All
Go
right,
for
good,
it.
thanks. All right. I think it's done.
Well, welcome everybody. I had to think back in 2009, we started the club, and the very first program we ever did was I did a program on blades. So here we are 15 years later, almost. Back to the basics, as we would always say, get back to the basics. And this you can go to the next slide. The focus though is on the newer members, not the seasoned members who already have all of this stuff, all of their own ideas of what should be. I try to focus on the new members, keep it really simple, and because really all you really want to know now is what the heck's the difference in a blade, how do I get them, and what do I use them for, and then as you get farther along, you can branch out into some of the more special blades and special things. So that's what we're going to go over today: the sizes, types, blades, and then brands and suppliers. Now, after that, as you know, I've talked about this Scrollsaw blade test, and most of you are signed up for that. And we're going to go through that in a little more detail after the blade thing. So if you're not part of that, you want to leave, or you certainly can. And hopefully most of you do it. We've had some interesting results so far. So you want to go move on. So this is going to be a relatively short presentation because we're going to do blades now, and then we have all this test results. So we're going to do plenty of blade stuff. So today, just kind of give you an introduction. So move on. So I just sent these handouts along. Olson sent me also a lot of blades, a bunch of 10 packs of precision ground blades. One I've used, and the other 9 I randomly put in some of those boxes. So some of you are going to get an extra little thing in there and go, what the heck is that? Or you just got a little pack of free blades, some 5s, 7s, and 9s. And they sent a whole slug of pin end blades. And I know Tim and you guys took some. Anybody else have a pin end saw? We'll kind of go over what that is. But so if not, Tim, you guys can have 5 more packs of pin end blades. We'll go over what they are if you're wondering. You never heard of that before, but so next. So here's how they go. Their sizes, and it's good that they have the smaller numbers be the smaller blades. So just going off of these sheets, smallest they have a 3/0, they call it 2/0, then right up through about 12. I don't know what. I bought a saw once with some 12s in it, and it looks like, almost looks like a bandsaw blade. You're just never going to use them. I don't know why you'd want them. The 6s you don't see much, but I've got some 6s that I got someplace, so they do exist. But pretty typical for what we do here is number 5. You can't hardly go wrong with 5. If you're wondering what to buy, that's a good place to start. 3s, 5s, 7s. And so if you're doing fret work, Troy, what do you use? You do a lot of fretwork.
I do between a 5 and a 1.
5 and a 1. When I do fretwork, I'll do a 2-0 or a 1 or a 2 or something like that. So, so if you remember, the thicker the wood, the bigger the blade. You normally. Everything I say here, there's always qualifiers, right? Because somebody here will say, "Well, I use a 2-0 on 2x4 as well." Okay, but generally speaking, if you're going to use a 2-0 on a 3/4 inch thick walnut, it's going to take you about 3 hours to get around a little. And you're going to go through a lot of blades. It can be done. I wouldn't suggest you do it. So go to the next slide. I didn't want to get too deep into that, but I saw this picture somewhere and just kind of explain this blade width and spacing here, the tooth spacing. That all comes around, but generally when you buy blades, I don't pay any attention to that stuff too much, and I don't know if I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it, but just to show you, there are some terms for the thickness and the blade width and all that. They're all 5 inches tall, because all the saws are set up for 5-inch blades. There's some old Englers that had a smaller saw. It's like a 3-inch blade, but they're hard to find. You won't ever run into it. But other than that, they're 5-inch blades. You want to go to the next slide. So we start out the standard. I made saws and some of these around, and I got some pictures up there too. But they're the standard regular tooth. In other words, it's just they're all spaced the same. They're all the same height. There's no reverse. There's no open spaces in between. So that's just your standard regular tooth. You see these for probably almost all of them have for metal. I don't know if metal has reverse teeth ever, but they're generally smaller and a lot tighter spacing. In not many. We've done some. We had a program here once, and we cut some little. I think what did he have? A little aluminum or tin or something. We cut some angels out of. One thing about them though is you don't get the jumping as much. And I know we've had some members who, like as Fred mentioned, he didn't like the jumping. You have reverse teeth, you're going to get a little jumping, and because of your hands or whatever, you don't want that. So that's one nice thing about them. But they leave a lot more fuzzies, and they tend to be a little slower feeding. But then they came along with the skip tooth. Maybe the next one. Where basically they took out every other tooth. So now you got a skip tooth blade. So why'd they do that? Well, it takes the wood away quicker. It's a faster blade. It's more aggressive. You still got the fuzzy problem because you don't have the upward teeth. But that was just the first step. I'm assuming this is how things evolved. That maybe they developed one first and went to the other one. But so if you see the word just skip tooth, there's no reverse teeth, or standard tooth, there's no reverse teeth. So if you want the reverse teeth, then you got to go to the next one. Well, there's a double tooth. I don't think I have. I did a double tooth, but I guess not. Basically, there's 2 teeth together, then a skip, and then 2 teeth together. Again, you can buy them with reverse, more aggressive. I think they're a little faster cutting, but just another version. If you like them, fine. If you don't, Next. I tried to catch this comparison. I saw this picture somewhere. It shows up okay. I don't know how it show up in here. But this shows the same blade basically with the tooth skipped. And here's your double. Pretty good. So faster because you're getting all that. If you buy a table saw blade, they come 80 teeth, 20 teeth. The 20 teeth is more coarse, and 80 is going to be a finer cut, and so and you're going to get more wood removal with the gap in there. I would guess 90% of what people use in their room, if you're new, are probably going to be a skip tooth blade. Go to the next one.
So is it more important for a thicker piece of wood, to your point about removal?
Probably. I don't know if it has to be, but I think I find it better. It's gonna be slower for sure without this skip. Okay. Now, someone along the way came up with a reverse tooth, where at the bottom, there's teeth that go up. And why'd they do that? Well, it cleans up. Without that, you get a lot of fuzzies on the bottom, and there's a lot of cleanup. So you put the reverse tooth on, that cleans it on the up. There's all kinds of variations of that. There's where they put every other tooth is up, and they do it a million different ways. That's, I should just send these around. People can, as long as I made them. And so, so on the bottom, they'll put 5 or 7 teeth. I think on the sheet, I saw some even had 9 reverse teeth. You know, and I think it's the most common blade used. I know I use most of them. I think most people in here use a reverse tooth. Skip reverse, probably. So much cleaner on the bottom, but it does, if you, sometimes when we do the classes as new people, they get, you know, it bounces on them and they get a little nervous about that. And usually that's from that tooth, those teeth coming up, and you get a little bit ahead of yourself, and then you start. But some of these, I know even in the test and that, you can almost hear that little jumping as you're going along. It's just really fine, you know. It's, so it's happening. You're a little ahead of yourself, and that bottom is catching and lifting it up. And if you take a turd too tight, you bind up those blades at the bottom. I don't know. Sooner or later, we've all had it where it comes down and hits your fingers or whatever. So it's hard to cut yourself, but you can slam your finger in there. You get too fast. Probably right though. Everybody pretty much use the reverse, skip reverse in here, probably. So if you're going to start, you need blades to start with. This is a good place to start. Next, there is something called a crown tooth. I bought a saw once, and he must have given me 10 dozen crown tooth blades, and I've been using them up a little bit at a time. You don't see them too much. Basically, it looks like the crown. There's 2 teeth together, and they go this way. I find they cut a little slower, but they clean the bottom up pretty good because you do have the teeth going both ways. And I've always found that the control on them is pretty good. The other nice thing about them, when you're done, you can turn it over and use the other end of the blade because they're the same. So I don't know if anybody's ever bought any, tried any, but it is another option out there if you want to try it. I would wait on that if you're new to it. If anybody wants to throw something in along the way here too, go ahead. Next. There's a couple other oddballs. I don't know if they're oddballs. This one, the Precision Ground, also sells them. They're a little bit different. The other blades are all milled. These are ground. I'm not sure of the machinist difference and all of that, but they're very sharp. They last a long time and a little more expensive, of course. And they're aggressive. You're not going to use them on fretwork, but they only come in 5/7 and 9. So if you're cutting a car the full thickness of 9 of those, I use that. It works great. But anyway, I thought I'd point them out. They're another type of blade. Many of these different blades I'm talking about, you're going to see in this study. So I want you to kind of know what you're getting into. Another blade that's really taken over the last few years is this modified geometry. I know there's a lot of members here that say that's all they use. And I should say too, all of this is kind of personal preference and what you get used to. Just because somebody says this is the only blade there is, yeah, I don't know. It's not the way. It's what fits for you and the wood you're doing and the patterns you're doing. It's all different. But they're very good blade. Even other people are selling them now because I know Judy Gill Roberts, I think she sells them now. She's got her own line of blades, but she gets so much requests for them. She's selling them. So they're very good blades. They go all the way down to 2/0. I know several people here use them almost exclusively. I keep a few I like for a few things, but I don't like them for a lot of things. So it's just up to you how that works. It's good to try some though.
What is different on the modified blades?
Well, I tried to figure that out, Mike. I don't have a good enough microscope. They don't really explain it. And I did have a slide here with their terminology, but it looks like I was a salesman for them because they're aggressive. They're the best thing ever. I couldn't really tell. The blade stands up a little higher than some of these. I laid them next to each other. But I couldn't ever find anybody who studied it or whatever. But they are more aggressive. There's no question about that. So,
Don't the teeth point differently? Opening?
up and down, you mean?
No.
Oh, maybe that's the difference. They a little more of a curve then because they're doing this. And I've tried them on really thin stock, and they don't work. They're just too aggressive.
I tried a couple of them, I couldn't make them work for proper.
It was just chattering but for other things, work great. I'm trying to, as you're new to this, I'm trying to give you all the options here. It still sounds confusing, but I'll get more into that in a minute. Spirals. Every time we do a show, like down at, we did the show down in Shakopee, somebody will walk up to you and say, how come you just don't use a spiral? That seems like the best way to go. I'll say, because they're impossible to use. They're very hard to use. Now you can, last year I said, for 2 weeks, I'm going to do nothing but spirals. I'm going to learn how to use spirals. And it's a struggle, but for the right things, they're great blades. You do one thing hard, even after years of turning the wood, you still want to turn the wood, but you don't have to. So if you're doing a piece this long or something, you have to use a spiral because you can't turn it because you're saw. So we've had different members here use a lot of spirals. But for small fretwork and that, and the right thing, but if you're going to try to do a straight line, man, that's you have to be way more efficient at it than I am. That's very hard to do. So seemingly on the outside, they're the way to go, but I don't know. They're very. Has anybody here mastered them and thinks they're the greatest thing ever?
It depends on, they work better on plywood rather than solid wood.
Okay.
Because on solid wood, they tend to jump with grains. That's my experience.
Okay.
If you're working with jigsaw pieces and you've got very tight curves that you want to do, it can be a little easier, but it also allows you to make wild shapes if you're not very careful with it.
Yes, they do get it. Yeah, port. Yeah, all of a sudden you're going down a blind you didn't want to know. And if it's fretwork, it's fine. You can make another fret that no one will never know that didn't belong there. But you can make it work. Not part of our study here today. No spirals, but I wanted to bring them up because you're going to have that same question. Why don't I use a spiral? If you're new, I'd stay away from it for a while. But I've heard other people say it's the only blade. They won't go the other. Well, maybe that's how they started and that's all they know. There's a spiral. I tried to. That shows up okay. So there's teeth all the way around. I don't know. They must make it, do the teeth and then twist it and then harden it. They twist it soft and then harden it afterwards.
Some of the ones I have, you can actually tell they're 3 blades spun together.
Oh yeah. Now the other part of that hard is they're hard to clamp, but some of them now have I think Flying Dutchman has some with a flat end spiral, and then there's some now. I don't know if it's Flying Dutchman. I think it's Flying Dutchman where they actually have some kind of reverse system. So you don't, because if you use those on plywood, you got strands of wood all over the place. So you got to clean all that up. So they're coming up with things to get rid of that. Next slide. Okay. There's 2 types of blades if you're new to this. There's pin blades, which I talked about earlier, and plain end, I guess they call it. 99% of the blades used are plain end. And if you're buying a saw, you want a plain end saw. If you go pin in, you're really limiting yourself. I know we talk about Phil. When I first met Phil, he had brought in big patterns in it. Why'd you do that? Well, he had pin end blades. He had to expand the pattern so you could do the holes to get the blade through. But when you think about it, it sounds like a good idea because it clamps and pins in and it's not going to pull out. You can't pull them out. But if you look at the blades,
Well, here's a picture of it.
okay, if you look at the blades, I'll send some through and we'll end these up back with the folks who have the pin end blades. They're just bigger. Well, you have to make them bigger because you got to get a pin into it. You can't make a 10,000ths blade and then put a pin in it. So you're really limited to what you can do. So you'll see some saws. If you're going to buy an old used saw, see if it's pin end or that's the biggest catch. I don't know when but some of the newer ones are still advertised. They'll do both. They have a little deal you put in there. I don't know, is it Ryobi or somebody? When has that? So why you'd want it, I don't know. If you guys used yours, I mean, they work fine. It's just limited to what you can do.
I have also found that having some extra older pin blades, a number of them you can pop the pins out and put it into a non-pin saw.
They're still big.
They're still big, but
Oh yeah,
but you can do that if you can get if you want. I would as soon go buy some new blades, but you can do that. Then there's lots of other blades and you'll see them on these charts and that they use for plastic, they use for metal. There's jeweler's blades. I think that's those 3/0 and even smaller. There's a superior puzzle blade. There's all different kinds, but that's for down the road. If you're new to it, we'll stick to some of these that we've talked about. What's next? So here's buying blades. This question comes up all the time. When we're at shows, people stop and ask you, how do you buy blades? I would only buy them from a local realtor local retail store. If it's your emergency, you're out, you got to finish something because it's a really expensive way to buy the blades. They'll be what, $8, $9, $10 a dozen. Well, online they're $3 to $5 a dozen. So better to buy them by the gross, 12 dozen. Now that seems like a lot, but it's not really. If you're going to do any sawing at all, 12 dozen. And all of these retailers, the Flying Dutchman and Olson through Art Factory and Bearwoods, they'll let you mix and match. So you can get 3 dozen 3s, 3 dozen 5s, 3 dozen 7s. I'm up to 12 yet. 3 dozen 9s, and that's the best way to start. Just buy a gross, get 3 different or 4 different sizes, and that'll really get you going. And then you can start playing around with what I'd rather, the Olson versus the modified geometry or the whatever.
You mentioned Bearwoods. Well, Bearwoods is the one that supplies the Pegasus blades.
Right. The Pegasus. They have the modified geometry. Is that a Pegasus blade? Yeah. So I'll send this around too. Not everybody probably needs this. I don't have enough copies, but for sure the new people should grab it. But I listed what I think most people in here use. This here, let me send some the other way. You can tell me if you've got somewhere else you buy them from. Art Factory is the Olson blades. Karen's been a good friend of ours, but I've got that there. She'll buy them online. You can call her. Bearwoods, a lot of people buy them from there. Most of these places now, you can just go online and do it. You don't have to talk to anybody. I don't like doing stuff like that. I call them and talk to them. Mike's Workshop is the Flying Dutchman. That's probably the 3 most used. Yeah. But you can still call Mike's Workshop, but you can get them on Wooden Teddy Bear. I don't know if the prices are any different.
No, they're in the same company, so it's just whether you order Wooden Teddy Bear or Mike's Workshop, same price. It's just I like the Mike's Workshop website. I think it's easier to order from than the Wooden Teddy Bear one.
The Judy O. Roberts sells her own line of blades, online blades, and she's starting to sell. And I just put a couple other, any others that people use and I think are wonderful. I think this catches the most of them. So if you want to buy some blades, give them a call. They'll help you.
Send it back.
Just keep them back. They'll end up with them back there. So. We gave that sheet out at our introductory thing, so I just brought it here. Some of you people might. Getting down toward, my best advice would be try some different blades, find out what's best for you. I mean, I'm sure everybody's done a lot of stuff. I just can't follow a line with the blade. It's just, I don't know what's wrong. It's like I had too many drinks or something. Take it out, put in another one. Voila, you know, the lights go up. Oh, this is the way it works. So sometimes you just have the wrong combo, how you're feeding it, how you're the wood, the blade. So, you know, all these blades have a purpose, but I think if you do this test, you're going to find there's very different how they feel doing all that kind of stuff. But so a good way to start, buy a gross, get some different sizes, pick one of these brands, you know, that I think we all use, the Bearwoods, the Flying Dutchman. You'll be happy, and then go from there. You know, that's yeah, like I said, one brand and size does not fit all. I've got a couple of tubes that I got with a saw, and I don't know what they are. It says 3, I don't know what they are, and I use them up on different things, and they're fine. I have no clue what they are, and they're 30 years old. So, you know, so are we to the?
So one of the things I found out, especially when you're just starting, is getting blades that mark the top of the blade. Because some of these blades, when you get into this reverse skip tooth and all that stuff, and it's not marked, you sit there and you look at it, and you hold it the light, and you hold it the magnifying glass, and you can't tell, is that the top or is that?
Flying Dutchman does. There's a little dent on the top, and if you do the test,
Vegas has got a little indent up at the top as well.
So that's supposed to be the top on those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reverse,
Well, I don't know. I always wondered that's silly thing.
Well, I do too, but it's still, when you're starting off, it's kind of tricky.
So the best, you know, some of you can see and you can look at it and that's, wow, it's there. But to me, I got to feel them. I might look under my magnifier. You feel them. If like the Flying Dutchman, they have a little indent on the top, and that's really nice. But they only do that on the 5s and up, right? Do they do that on the lower? They don't do it on the smaller ones. So, were you gonna say something?
Oh, I was just say you feel it.
Yeah.
That's what I had doing.
But I also found, I got confused because I found little dents in the top.
Right.
Well, on other blades, I found a dent was on the bottom. I thought I hadn't figured out.
Katie?
There's another tip that Swede used to give to his new folks, that they, if the blade is sliding out of your saw, he would take a little sandpaper or file of some sort and just get the oil off the tips, both sides, and then it would stay in.
As we get to the actual test, it's Carl that said, hey, maybe we should mark these for people. Well, I'd already put them on the ducks, and I'd already had a good idea. It's too late. But
I thought we were the test group so that you could get those things done.
So what does it matter?
On what?
It doesn't matter whether you put the blade one way or the other.
Oh, well, it matters.
Just going up and down, right?
Well, yeah, but if you put it in upside down, the teeth going up, it'll just lift your piece right off the table. We've all done it.
Oh, yeah.
We've all done it, where you all of a sudden you can't hang on to it. It's blah, 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 blah. Oh, it'll still cut. You're
Yeah,
right. You can hold her down. It'll cut.
The Scrollsaw cuts on the downstroke.
Yeah.
So you want it to be pushing down when it cuts. Because when it cuts, that's when it's putting pressure on it and it's removing material.
Yeah.
If it's pushing down, it pushes into the table. If it's
Yeah,
trying to remove the table going up, you gotta pull it down. And they cut on the downstroke, the idea is you want it to push the wood down as it cuts.
Great question, though. I wouldn't have thought of that.
You can always tell because you'll see sawdust on the top of your wood.
Actually, one of the reasons we decided to do this about a year ago, people were talking blades back and forth, and one of the new members says, "What the heck are you talking about?" Yeah, and so we forget sometimes there's people who don't even, why do you put it in that way? That's a good question.
That's why when the reverse, skip, you would think that it would just be upside down, but not, or you've got the ones at the top are going down and the ones at the bottom are the reverse. So you get that cut both ways.
I've never used a ground tooth, but they go up and down, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I didn't like them. I tried them. I found them to be way too slow and just.
They're slow. If you were doing real fine cuts, they work pretty good.
Yeah.
Plus you get double use out of it. Oh, you're not, I don't, no, they're not jumping.
I didn't problem with jumping, but I just didn't like them.
Any other questions? Great question. Or comments or something that I missed, or, it was kind of quick and dirty, but like I said, we're gonna be talking about blades a lot, so.
One comment I would make about those spirals, the other thing you think about is, you're only getting 25, that's thing going 360 degrees. You're only getting 25% of the teeth cutting on the side that you're trying to cut on. Instead of getting all the, when you're pushing the thing through, only 25% of them. So it's a lot slower. And then you got those other sides, they're cutting simultaneously as you're pushing. So you're getting a really wide swath, but it's really slow.
Yeah, I think they tend to break, but when I was using them, it probably was me. I was breaking a lot of them and they didn't last long. But when I was down in Iowa this year, somebody was doing demoing with them. And I said, "Well, show me how to use these things." And they said, "Well, don't put quite as much tension on a spiral blade. Just back it off a little bit. It works better." So that was his tip, and he was doing some pretty good work. So he must have known what he was talking about. But
John, are you gonna hand out the blades today, or would that be next month?
that'll be today. We have boxes all over the place, but that's the next section here I'm gonna get into. Are you ready? Anything else with that? Okay. So as you guys know, I dreamt this up a few months ago and I was hoping you guys would support it. It sounds like everybody does want to support it, but essentially I tried to come up, why are we doing this time? And I picked 10 as the number. Originally I thought 5 or 6, but let's go for it. In controlled conditions, and to rate them on some predetermined criteria and examine the results using design experiment methods. Now what that is in the manufacturing world, and that some of you have run designed experiments. This isn't exactly that because we're not changing all these variables, but in the old days they would, well, and you still do that. Something's not working, you change this. It's still not working, you change that. Design experiments change all those variables because sometimes it's this and this cause that, not just this. So anyway, that's what that's all about.
Okay,
So,
and you have somebody doing the analysis?
yeah, we'll get into
that.
Right. So my goals are really to help. I hope a lot of new members do this, and it might be a little struggle, but you'll get to see 10 different blades and how they work, and give our members a chance to try this on this wood. And we'll have a couple hundred ducks to go along to TLC toys.
You want to explain TLC toys to the people that are new?
Yeah, we Roger mentioned there, we've been doing this since about 2012 or so, where we've been cutting toys and now what they call paintables for TLC toys. And they're a group on the Big Lake, and they donate all these toys out to nursing homes, schools, memory care, police stations, and they do sell a few online, but it's all the money goes back into it. And so we got in with it with Phil, making paintables of the kind of the flat things, other 1/4 inch, and then cars and so forth. And so I think it's been a great thing for the club, and so anybody new wants to get involved in that. Roger's got wood. We got patterns back there, the hearts and things, and you can
Don't they have senior centers who do the painting?
Yes, yeah, they donate it, the paintables. I donate to one in Shakopee and they send me pictures. They just love this stuff. So it's really important we do this kind of stuff where they sit and paint them so, but that was a big change in the last 4 or 5 years. We started those paintables. Before that, we did dinosaurs and I don't know what, baby cradles and what else.
We do have some patterns back there you can take. And I also have some findings about your birch. Yeah.
So
Anybody needs some after the meeting?
So, yeah, and the only criteria is if you take some of the wood, you can use it for your own stuff, but you're kind of committed to do something for TLC Toys. They get it donated to them and people give it to them are glad to get rid of it. They don't know, they're just landfilling it or burning it and they're turning it into toys. So that's a great deal. The next slide. So I'm going to give him a little plug. Mark Anderson, I started working with him 15 years ago. He's got a company called Statties. I worked with him. We bought his software and he's really an interesting guy. And, you know, it's all his whole life is statistics. And you can imagine. But I called him last spring. I said, yeah, I got this idea about doing a blade study. What would you think about helping me out? I'd love to do it. I love doing that kind of stuff. All right. So we've talked a few times. He's semi-retired. His kid runs the company now, but they still do a lot of, he was just in Europe doing some training on design experiments. So he said he'd probably publish something for his newsletter. That's fine. In fact, it'd be nice for us to have that published, I think. So he'll be using this software to analyze it. So you'll see the factors here, and you know, I already put in a lot of data on 6 people. That looks like a mess. So we'll see what it all turns out. We got 20 people, and he can turn it into something. I'm hoping in the March. I'm not going to be here February, so I'm hoping in March we'll have something to have him. I'd like to get him here and have him kind of go through charts and stuff. Maybe April, depends how it works out for him, just strictly up to him. So if you take the box today, which I hope you do, I really need the results in the next couple of weeks. I mean, you can do it later, but then you might not be part of the study because I want to collate all this stuff and get it to him before I go to the Caribbean. So, so I want to get all that to him. It takes roughly the quickest, I think anybody, 35, 40 minutes, but more closer to an hour probably with you guys. What I did was I had 6 people do this, so I could kind of help me a lot because it helped me change the forms and the instructions and so forth. But you're going to spend an hour to do it.
It only took me 2.5 hours.
Yeah, half of that was that one of the blades.
Get rid of the foot pedal.
Did they end up looking like ducks, Mike?
Yes.
We're penguin. Okay, next. So what's in the boxes? We'll go through some more of this, but there's going to be 10 duct outlines with a blade attached. So this is blade number 5. Okay, and that's the blade you use on that. So cut it out. I'll go through more of that. We time it, just tape it back onto the duct and keep them for a while. I don't know. I've done enough of these things in my life that some things pop up. You might want to restudy, or somebody got some really weird results that we might, so just hang on to them. Eventually you can take the blades off, use them, and get the ducts to us, and we'll get them to TLC Toys. But when you're done, just hang on to them for at least a couple of months. I think all the boxes have at least one cutout where I wrote on, I gave the fuzzies on this one a 7 and the edge an 8. So give you some sense of what the heck we're doing.
I like that.
And then I think most of them, they just have an extra little chunk of wood to get started and kind of get your feel going, okay? And then complete instructions, follow the instructions. The reason I'm doing it here too, because some people, what's going to happen to this. So visual, more people, some people are visual. That's why I want to go through it here. And then I kind of how to grade it, and we'll go through this too. And But, and again, 9 of the boxes have some Olson skip, skip reverse PGR, scissors and ground blade. So you're just the lucky 9 that got it just randomly. You want to go and go to the next one. Now the wood, I just found this, actually was on sale, some pine on it, Menards. And fortunately, most of the boxes are out of one piece of wood. But, you know, one piece of wood would give me more than 10, so I ended up mixing some. It shouldn't matter because they all look the same. This pine is a little harder than some, I mean, it's common pine, it's called. It is cut a little harder, I think, than a lot of the pine we use for TLC toys and that. So, go to the next one. So I missed that step. One of the things you try to do in experience is randomize things. So I didn't want everybody to use blade 1, blade 2, blade 3, blade 4. So you go to the, now you go to the internet and you look random number table. It'll give you, you plug in, we're going to do 25 and it'll give you 25 random number stretches. The old days, Warren, right? We had to go to the back of the statistics book and you put your finger on a spot and you count this way and do that. Now you just plug in 10 blades, 25, you get it, you get your random numbers. And that's so at the end, we don't say, well, number 10 is always bad. That's because that's the last blade. No, some people are going to be doing 10 first. This one is 2, 9, 3, 1, 7, 6. So, so this is your order. It's already penciled in. I did this 3 different times because I kept changing my mind on things. So I got a lot of scrap paper. But to get started, you got that little piece, or you can use your own piece, but just sort of just to get into the mood. Use your own blade, kind of set it up, make sure you're square, get your speed. I've asked people to do it about half speed. Now, if you go a little less than that, that's fine. A little more than that, that's fine. I didn't want you going full speed and then half speed, so just kind of. And that's not the right speed for some of these blades in this wood, you'll find out. But at least we can go back to that. And you'll mark down, well, I'm at the halfway point. Well, then if we have to redo it, you can go back to that spot. So next. We're just doing some test cuts and get ready. You know, now put in your first blade, which is this, in this case, it's number 2 blade. And I didn't do it at the first, when I first did it, but I put in the timer because it's really been helpful. I just thought you could judge. At first, I thought you could just kind of judge. This one's a little slow. This one, it's way better to have a time. Now, you know, everybody saw it's different. Your feed rates are different. So it's not like you're trying to be the fastest or the, you know, it's just so that we compare your 10 together. And maybe we'll do that later. So I don't, go, cut your first duck. Okay, go to the next one. So then I would, after you cut the duck, pencil in some stuff right away, because you wait 2 or 3, I guarantee you'll forget, oh, was that the second one I cut or was that the first one I cut? And pencil in some notes right away. But as far as some of the ratings, you can do that later once you get 2 or 3. Oh, this one, I thought this was a 7, but now that I see this one, this is, you know, whatever. And so you can get back in the quality control days, we call it toy soldier inspection, where you line them up and look at them, you know. But so you might change your, but okay, let's go to the next one. That will get more into detail on how. So off on the side, I got comments, and I've had the guys who've done so far have given me a lot of comments, and we'll keep track of that. And sometimes you find the best info comes from the comments because we don't have the right criteria here. So, so don't be afraid to write comments. Blade sucks. I'd never use this one again. We've had a few of those. A couple break. We've had a couple break. So make sure you note that. It's smoking or it's charred or it's you know, whatever. But it's best to do that right away. And if later on you think, that's dumb, I'll just erase it, fine. The other thing I would do is keep my own list or keep a copy of this, because you might want to buy blade number 9, or I really like blade 7 or something like that. And, you know, after you do the test, if you want to call me and say, I'm going to buy some blades, I really liked, pick a blade number 8. You know, I'll give you the information where to buy it and stuff like that. But ahead of time, I'd like to be blind. So I know some of you guys could pick up a blade and look at, oh, that was made in Austria, June 5th, lot 292. You know, I know some of you guys like that, but don't do that. Just put, just put it, yeah, just put it in the saw cover. But there's some that are obvious. I bought them from only 3 sources. One, I went the shipping and stuff. I didn't want to be buying a dozen blades here, and so pretty much the Art Factory, Flying Dutchman, and Bearwoods. To me, that was probably 95% of what everybody here uses. So that's how I wanted to compare. Next one. So there's the, kind of getting out of your picture probably. The scroller number is already in there. Give me your name. Experience is kind of a weird one, but I wanted to possibly compare how new people felt about a blade versus, I shouldn't say new and old. I don't want to say old people, but experienced people. So, but it's kind of hard to tell. I've tried to do it. How do you do this? Months and hours and years. And so I broke it down like this. So if you're brand new, you're a 1. And this is nothing like, ooh, I want to someday be a 4 or anything like that. I just want you to be honest about, Mike did it. He's online here. He says, you know, I had a saw for 20 years, but I don't feel like I'm that experienced with it. I don't know what he, don't remember if he put down a 2 or something like that.
2.
So give your best shot, you know, if you know, if Troy puts down, he's a 1, I'm gonna, come on, Troy. That's, it's probably not a case. So it's just really, you never know. We don't know what we don't know, right? So this stuff is free data, and does it matter? I don't know. Might not make any difference at all, but it's free to do. So the waist left, waist right. I struggled with that a long time too. But basically, you're going into the saw, then you go this way. Your waist is off to the left. Follow me? If I go this way, the waist is off to the right. Now, we've had people tell us the best way is the waist on the right. Maybe if you're new, you want to do that. I do it the other way. I don't know why. It feels right to me to go the other way. But does that make any difference? I don't know. You know, will it make any difference for fuzzies or something? Maybe. Who knows? But it's easy to do a circle and keep track of it. Maybe later we just say it doesn't make any difference.
So are you saying you want us to do all the same?
Whatever you do.
Oh, what, okay.
Which would be the same, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to switch.
No.
No, I do.
I didn't on the duck though.
No, usually on the ducks, you're going to do the same. You know, normally people, I would think, would start at this bottom corner or this bottom corner and then end on the long run. I don't know. That's the way I did it. Come around and do the end on the long run. If you're doing ducks for TLC toys, usually you put this long run on the bottom so you don't have to cut it and it's square. But I wanted us both have some tight curves, some big curves, and some long runs on the blade. So that's why I picked that. So then this was just some times 350. Oh, you got the pointer?
Yeah,
Good. Speed. The speed, the rate. Now the next column, you can rate it if you want, but I'm going to rate that. It's hard. What you'll end up with is 3 or 4 blades will be 310, 315, 330. So are they? So we're not ranking them 10 to 1. To me, they're all 8s or 9s, and then the next group and the next group. Then if all of you have a 10-minute one, which we've seen, that's probably a 1 or a 2. So I just thought it'd be easier if I do that and to be the most consistent with it. That's all.
So
You're welcome to do it.
So that's just how long it takes you to cut off the duck?
The speed, time, and then I'll rate it by a number. Everything gets rated 1 through 9.
John will put this in.
Yeah. It probably should split. Well, maybe that's the next slide. Everything's 1 through 9. You don't do it. He said this statistician, that 1 through 9 is better. Somehow you have to make a decision. You can't be in the middle. You gotta be. either, if, you know. So anyway, I guess 5 is still the middle, but it's better for the statistics. So then go to the, you wanna go to the next one? To explain the jumping, the fuzzies. I had this done before I added the burn too, so go ahead, go ahead. Oh, the speed setting, just your brand, your model. You set it at the half mark, just mark it down so we have a record of that. If you know your saw strokes per minute or whatever, that mine's rated 400 to 1800, and I have it in the middle, that's 900. I don't know if it matters. If you're in the middle, well, don't worry about it if you don't know. So then that's how I'll rate the speed. So 1 to 9. 9's always the most, what you want the most. 1 would be the least. Now in speed, you could say that could be the other way around. You don't want to be fast, but most people like a faster blade. So the jumping, how do I want to explain that? It's again 8 to 9. No jumping, it just smooth, you know. Then we kind of go down from there. You know, sometimes things get, I don't think we found anywhere they're really bouncing around, but if you have that kind of trouble, we should know that. But some of them you just hear that, you know, it's bouncing a little bit. And so maybe you give it a 7 or an 8 or something like that.
John,
yeah.
you intend these to be ratings, not rankings. So
Right.
it isn't that you're always going to have a 1 and a 2. It's just, you know, everything may be in the 7s to 9s.
Exactly. Thank you for pointing that out. Some of them might edge quality. Most of them, you know, there's some that might be a little bit less, but it's generally pretty good unless it burns.
Yep. But this is for all of them, for jumping, for the whole works.
Yeah. They could all be 7s, if that's the way you feel. They could all be 9s. You know, we're not ranking. So it's right. Thanks for pointing that out, Mike. The next one. So this one came up in my test subjects. A few more. It's been kind of unusual. Some are finding burning, some aren't. Now, what's causing it? I don't know. Well, hopefully it'll work out in the in the statistics later, whether it's the speed, the saw, the whatever. But because we've had some that not at all, and some have a little bit of smoke, some have some burning. So so you might get all of those things, or you might not. So don't feel bad if you don't. You know, it's just, you know, then they're all 8s and 9s. So, and there's a chart in there that kind of fuzzies. Usually that's on the back. Somebody had mentioned one that had fuzzies on the top more. You know, that's interesting to know. But if you're looking at very clean edge, no fuzzies, no cleanup, you know, that's your 8s and 9s, and all the way down to chips and strings and so forth. So somewhere, most of them are in between, probably. This one I threw in, it's a tough one. It's more of a follow the line. If you miss the line, that doesn't mean it's, I mean, there's some operator follow the line and blade follow the line. So I think most people find all the blades are fine. But, you know, maybe there's certain blades that for a new person are just hard to, I got to keep pulling it back, got to keep pulling it back. But these are ducts that are going to be painted. So if you miss the line, don't spend all your time getting this perfect. You know, you miss the line, just come back and keep going. You know, this isn't high-end in Tarzi or something where you have to be perfect. But that's one, you know, keep it on the line. That's one you might have all high numbers. I mean, there's no, you might find they're all the same, you know, or you might find there's some difference. So keep your notes. So you can send the sheet to me. My email and phone number are on one of the sheets I gave you. And like I said, if you want to order some of a certain blade, let me know. So eventually I'll tell you what all the blades are. I told you where I got them, so you know that. But I did tell Mark, if we publish anything, I don't want to put brand names out there or anything. That just causes trouble. But internally, we'll know all that stuff. We've had 6 people do it from beginner to the other end, and we've had some interesting results. I'm glad I did it that way because, you know, Carl gave me some good ideas. Mike had some good ideas, and so So hopefully you guys like doing this kind of stuff. I feel like I'm imposing all this on everybody, but. So you've got your box. As soon as you can get it to me, there's a ton of numbers to crunch and that. If you have questions, give me a call. If you don't feel good about it, give me a call, come down and do it on my saw, or I'll come to your place. Help you, you know, you just don't feel comfortable doing it. Tiffany, well, she left, but she was at, she came over to my house for something else. And Tiffany, if I'm gonna do this for you, you're gonna do this for me. So she sat down, did it, and I learned a lot from her doing it. She's a fairly new scroller, and so it gave me some information.
So on the time, when I start on the duck, it takes 3 minutes, just note that for blade 1.
Yeah.
3.5 for blade 2, whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that can be ranged from just the kind of what I've seen so far. None of them go less than a minute, I guarantee you that. And I'd say most people are finding in the 3 to 4. But I've seen higher numbers, and some people can zip around a little faster.
First one I did took 6 minutes.
You don't know. You don't know, they're randomized, so you might be the slowest one first or the fastest one first. You don't know, do you? Do you?
This is just cutting time, so it's not blade change time.
No, just cutting time. Put your blade in, hit start and go. How many factors? Well, in the experiment, it's loosely experiment. How do we have 5, 6? We're gonna analyze it a little different than that, because we're not.
Smooth, fuzzy,
Yeah.
follow.
I call it design experiments, not quite like I mentioned. Yes, it sounds like you're familiar with the different levels and yeah, you do pine with blade 2 and this speed, and you know, it's not that. It's just comparing 10 blades. Sit down at one time doing 10 blades on the same wood, same speed. What do we see? I'm hoping people learn something. There's going to be some reverse teeth in there. There's going to be some standard tooth in there. They should give you different results. And I don't know what else is in there. There's a precision ground in there. There's a modified geometry in there. There's all, you know, if you know what you're looking for, you'll see them. If you don't know, you'll just put them in and use them. But you're not feeling like formal belly. No. We don't have that kind of. He could if we gave him the right inputs, I suppose. But yeah.
So do you have your 20 people?
Well, I'm hoping. I've given out. Yeah, I've got them here. I hope. All right. So after we're done here, I'll sign them out to you guys. If you can't do it in the next couple of weeks or so, appreciate not. You know, I just need the data in the next. I don't want to impose too much on him, and I want to. So you maybe got 2.5 weeks, but the way this always works, you guys know how this works. You go home and you should do it in the next few days. Otherwise, 2 weeks from now, you'll get a newsletter. And you're like, oh shoot, I forgot to do that. So faster you can get at it, the better, I think. Somebody had a hand.
I can be part of the experiment as well.
I think we should have enough. Any questions on this? Thank you for putting up with me on this. It took a little longer than I wanted to, but people are trying to, I don't know. I just know from these kind of things, people walk away and there's still lots of questions. And did he say do this, or should I do probably one first? No, do the list you got. And remember the time. That'll at first I wasn't doing the time. Like I said, it just works better. And I'm actually entering the time in the computer now. I don't know if that'll help him or hurt him, but you know, should be able to do it by the numbers. You do things by numbers, it's easy to do the statistics and the charts and so forth. So I have to make it easy for him. He's doing a lot of work for nothing for me. Any other? Do you have anything left? Anybody else? No. If you have any questions, catch me on the way out. Some of you I gave boxes to. Otherwise, we'll line up and fire them out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this would be very interesting. Thank you, John, for spending your time doing this, setting it all up. We appreciate it. And I think March will be an interesting meeting, listening to your friend. He seemed like a smart guy if he does all this stuff. So is there anything else that anybody has a question?
Just want to mention for next month, we do the tips and tricks, so make sure you guys bring in some money, everyone
Oh.
brings some ideas.
Okay. Bring in anything you need for a prop or just,
Any prop, any, think of some ideas, things that have worked for you that you want to share. Even if you shared them before, but if you share them again, we have a lot of new members. They may not have heard what some of us may have heard it before, but if you're like me, you probably don't remember.
all right.
We got a lot of new people, so.
Tips and tricks next month.
You're the
Bring your
jig
tips.
guy.
What's that, Dennis?
You're the jig guy, so bring
Oh,
it.
maybe I should bring a jig in.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got a jig?
Oh,
Yeah.
surprise, surprise.
Oh, yeah, bring a jig.
Oh,
Oh, great.
I just happened to have it.
You're gonna be sorry for that. All right, well, then, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? So move it. Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everybody.
Anybody needs wood, I've got it out there.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good
Thanks.
month.
Thanks, bye.
Neil, I'm gonna take a picture of your award there. Get a real good picture. Okay.